Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and get started.
Alrighty. Well, so a couple weeks back, my mother purchased a new house. She already has a house of her own. It's a house in good condition, but she decided to do it anyways. In less than 3 days, she took out a $40,000 loan to get another house beside hers. This is not uncommon for my family, unfortunately, because I have a dad that took out loans to pay his other loans. So due to my experience with debt, I want to try and convince you guys that debt should be avoided at all costs, most of the time. And I'm sure many of you have had run-ins with debt yourselves, maybe family members or friends who took out loans for students, so I'm sure a good portion of you have student loans of yourselves. But to move on to my first point of why you should avoid debt at all costs is because it costs more to use debt than to save for yourself. It can cause a lot of emotional stress. And finally, it can be a risky gamble for consumers. To start, debt can cost way more than just saving. This graph is a graph I had made to show how much interest can generate if you pay $200 a month on an average 18% interest credit card debt. It starts small at $500, only 13 more, but slowly as you get more and more debt, it will generate a lot of interest. Almost $200 by the time you get to $2,000. It can take quite a while to pay off. So, all right, I messed up. To move on to my second point, money can cause a lot of emotional stress. It can put a strain on your budget because money won't be going where you want it to. It won't be going to your savings or anywhere that you can have it, and it'll instead be going to some lender somewhere, and that is completely out of your control. Instead of being able to save for an emergency where maybe you won't save up this month or something like that, it is completely out of your control. And it can also put a huge strain on your relationships, your family. A 2007 article by the Journal of Financial Planning studied a PayPal survey, and it found that for young couples, 37% argue about money the most, and 82% of those couples had at least one secret purchase that they kept from their partners. To move on to my third point, debt is often very risky for consumers. Companies can have very shady contracts. A 2009 article from Business Week studied the story of Robert J. Marr. His story was that he had 2 premature births. These births cost him about $20,000, which he put on a credit card, offered 3% minimum payments till he paid it off. But one day in December that year, he got a letter. That letter effectively doubled his minimum payments to about $500 a month, and he had to pay a service charge every month because of the credit card companies putting change at will clauses in their contracts. Not only this, but debt can damage your credit score, and it can really affect your chances at getting what we call good debt for the future, such as when you finally settle down and you want to get a house, or you need that car, student loans, stuff like that. So what can you do to avoid this? It would be best early to start a budget. Know where your money's going, know what you're able to save, and all towards that. As a student, money can be really tight, and having to avoid taking out student loans can be very beneficial for you in your future. So if you could set aside a little bit of money each month, as much as you can, to pay before November or April, that could lead to a nice little snowball effect for the future. And make a strategy for all your current debts, like snowballing. Pay the one with the highest interest first, and then run along downwards until all of it's paid off. In conclusion, it can be very beneficial if you avoid it. From a 2013 Business Week article, it found that student loans surpassed $1 trillion in 2013. So, for our future, we as students need to be very good at managing debt because it will be a prominent part of our futures. In closing, don't make the same mistakes my family does, and try to benefit your future now by budgeting and taking care of yourself now. Thank you.